guys, William Murfitt here, and in today's episode I'm going to try and cure the misfire on my classic Mini. So on the drive home from Minis in the mountain, I experienced a substantial engine malfunction. The car was misfiring in every single gear. It didn't drive happily at all unless I had my foot ever so slightly touching the accelerator and sitting about 40 miles an hour or less. So I had to come for the back roads, which was a lovely drive, but anytime I had to go uphill, it missed, and it just wasn't an enjoyable experience. So I've got some parts, hopefully I'm going to rectify that. First of all is a new rotor arm, and secondly is a new distributor cap. These are from Power Spark Ignition to sort of complement my electronic distributor I've already installed. I'm waiting on some spark plugs, and when they've arrived I'm going to whip them in as well, and yeah, hopefully this will just get me going for the time being, and then I can have a few little tweaks and stuff after that. So let's get into the car and see what we've got to do, and then I'll show you what I'm going to change and the reasons why I'm going to do that. Inside the engine bay, I've got these lights here and here to try and make this illuminate as best as possible. It's doing a grand job. So this here is my distributor, and I've got my clips and I've got the cap underneath. So in here, there's a gear in the inside of the engine that rotates and then turns the rotor inside. The coil sends a permanent live down to the center, and then as that rotor's spinning, it gives out a spark on each of those HT leads. So it just clips off. When I look inside, you should have 4 shiny points, which these ones here are pretty corroded, and in the middle should have a bit of a springy clip, so that pushes down onto the rotor arm. Now that is C solid, which obviously isn't a good start, and the actual rotors or the points themselves are not in the best of conditions. So I'm glad I'm changing this, and I'll see what I'm changing it for. With the cap itself off, I can then get out my new cap. So you can see inside here, you see the points themselves in there. All 4 points are much shinier. If I pushed on this centre section, it acts like a bit of a spring. So hopefully that is going to be the cause or the fix of the problem. So just make sure that firstly fits on before I go all the rigmarole of changing the HT leads over. So I've got little cutouts inside here, which is like the lock-in pin for this little lock here. I'll just make sure that that actually fits on, and then it will clip into place with these clips. So happy that that's going to work. So now I can change the order of these leads. Start from the bottom. So, with the cap now changed and all the leads in the right place, I can then turn my attention to the rotor arm itself. So the rotor arm itself goes onto the shaft inside. It's got this connection point here, and as that spins, it makes contact with each of these points, and that sends a spark from the center to the spark plugs. So each individual one is obviously aligned to each individual cylinder, making sure that obviously sparks in situ and in time, and it can only fit on one way. So the rotor arm itself has got a little bit of corrosion on the end. The main concern is this black dot. Now that is from that seized cap, so it should hopefully have sprung up and down as this is moving, but it wasn't. So I'll put this back on. I've got a little sort of cutout, which then goes onto the cutout of the pulley, and inside there's a little lug, and that goes into the cutout as well. So it can only go in one way. which just pushes on and locates. So that's now in place. So I can put the cap on now, making sure that the locking pin lines up. Put the clips over, 1, 2, making sure it's obviously nice and tight. And then I can turn my attention to this. Now I think I can see where the issue lies with this one. You see where the point is, there's actually the bit of it broken away from maybe each of them cylinders. So I think this is a good time to change this. Probably should have changed it a lot sooner, but yeah, that is C solid. There's no movement whatsoever in that, so hopefully that's going to be the fault finding. The new distributor cap and rotor arm is now fitted, so everything's all connected up. Everything seems to be nice and fresh and new, and yeah, time for a quick road test. So let's get these lights down, put the bonnet down. So the last job I need to do on this car is to replace the spark plugs. So I've got my spark plugs arrived in the post now. I've got some NGK plugs, and I've got the 4 plugs to do. I've got a special spark plug socket. So let's whip them out, whip the new ones in. Job done. So when you're doing spark plugs up, you want to make sure that you do them as far as you can by hand, and then with a socket and a ratchet, or a wrench if you're American, just literally put them on and just nip them up a little bit. So you feel a bit of resistance there. They haven't got to be particularly tight, sort of hand tight, just over hand tight, and never ever measure it with Ugga Duggas. So if you're watching Steve, 3 Ugga Duggas is far too much. So yeah, that's the plugs replaced. Put the HT leads back on, give it a start up and see if there's any improvement. So my Mini's now had a new rotor arm, new cap, new spark plugs. The timing's been readjusted and it's running a hell of a lot better. So I'm really happy with the results here. Hopefully now the Misfire will be gone forever, and I can just get back to enjoying motoring in this here Mini. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please click the thumbs up button, comment down below, and if you can, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss on any future content. That's it from me, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy.